Hi, everyone, and welcome to the Monomyth Diaries, a podcast where ordinary people get to share their hero's journey. I'm Mandi.
And I'm Karen, and we'll be your hosts.
We'll discover powerful insights, critical moments of growth, and much more.
Thanks for joining us. We all have a monomyth to share, and someone out there needs to hear it. Welcome back to the Monomyth Diaries Shorts. We're to take what you like and leave the rest podcast.
Which is actually what we're going to talk about today. The meaning behind the phrase, take what you like and leave the rest.
Okay, so I literally learned that phrase from you. So seriously, where did it come from?
It's actually an Al-Anon phrase. Mm-hmm. For those of you who haven't had an opportunity to listen to my monomyth, I encourage you to go back and listen to it, where I talk about my journey through Al-Anon and why it's important to me. Mm-hmm. So Karen, this phrase actually is read at the closing of almost every Al-Anon meeting.
Really? That's
yes.
Interesting.
Yes, it's a very important phrase that we use. This phrase really stuck out to me, which is why I brought it to the podcast. You know, we wanted this to be a safe storytelling platform where we're really not giving advice or pushing our perspective onto other people. You know, we don't want to impose our beliefs onto other people.
Yeah. Well, what I love about what we do is how each guest story is so unique and always offers something valuable to take away.
Yeah. I think, too, that the phrase, take what you like and leave the rest, makes us focus on the good. You know, it's sort of like that phrase, what you feed grows, right? Or where focus goes, energy grows. That's it. You know that phrase?
No, I don't. I'm not joking. I just learned that right now.
Also, I think the idea is that we focus on the good in people, focus on the good in their stories, focus on the good of their perspectives.
I know when we had our initial conversations about this podcast, how we wanted to make this podcast a safe space. So it was really important for us to leave judgment and criticism behind.
Oh, yeah, that's important. Yeah, no judgment and criticism amongst one another. For
totally.
Sure.
And you know, the fact that both of us have lived monomyths that have taught us to be open.
I think that the idea too is what resonates to me may not resonate to somebody else. Not everything's going to resonate with everybody. You want to talk about some examples of how we've applied this to our life?
Sure.
I have a great one.
Yeah.
Okay, so I was in my mid to late 20s, and my mom had just passed away.
Okay.
And my mom died of cancer. She had lung cancer, and it was a very painful, miserable death. I remember there was absolutely no peace in it. And I was at a place in my life where I was very angry with God, you know, watching her suffer like this. And I felt like I was very young to have my mom taken away. You know, even though we may have had a rocky relationship, I still loved her, you know, and I didn't want her to die. And, you know, and I really missed her. So I was very angry. And fast forward, I knew somebody who passed away, and I needed to go to his funeral. It was being held at a horse barn. Okay. At a horse barn. I know, a horse barn. And, you know, again, I'm in my mid to late 20s, and I'm very judgmental at this point in my life. And you know, there's a lot of criticism. And I thought, who in the world has a funeral at a horse barn? Who does that? And I also was newly into Al-Anon at this point. And my sponsor said to me, Mandi, I need you to take what you like and leave the rest. I need you to go with an open mind and just listen for the message. You know, not where it is, not who's giving it. Just listen for the message. And so I did. You know, and again, I know in my previous episode I talked about my sponsor. I really valued her. And so I did what she said. And at one point during the sermon, the minister says, or pastor says, if it isn't good, it isn't God. God didn't give Russell cancer, but like a good father, he took away his pain. You know, as parents, we all want to take away the pain of our children. We don't want to see them suffer. And God didn't want to see Russell suffer anymore. And I thought, oh my gosh, that's exactly what I needed to hear. That was the message I needed to hear. And I was so grateful that I was open-minded, because I realized that God didn't give my mom cancer. I could stop being mad at him.
Wow.
And so I could move on from that anger and know God was really doing good things.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway. So horse barns must mean something very different to you now. When you see it, it's like this eureka moment.
It really is. It's one of those aha moments. You know, I feel like over the course of my life, I've had a lot of these aha moments, you know, where I'm taking what I like and leave the rest. What about you?
Okay, so for me, you know, like again, we go back to the Monomyth I shared, you know, one of our earliest episodes, and I shared about how I was affected by racism, and then I had to confront my own internalized racism. There was this channel there's a channel in Toronto called Omni. They showcase a lot of multicultural is their brand.
Okay.
And so I remembered like I was flipping through channels and I think they were broadcasting like a Bollywood musical. So I remembered like as a kid watching it being broadcast, I was being really judgy and critical about it. Like, oh, I don't like what they're wearing. I don't like their music. I don't like the way they're dancing. And
Can we tell people what Bollywood is?
yes.
There might be some listeners who don't know what that is.
So Bollywood is basically Hollywood, but in India, and it really celebrates their culture. It's a huge industry. Cinemas here in North America bring more box office sales for Indian films than Hollywood right now. That's how massive Bollywood is. Fast forward when I finally come to my transformative journey where I started confronting my anti-Asian bias and I was in university, I made friends of East Asian descent, but I also made a lot of friends who were South Asian. And in fact, my best friend in university, she's East Indian. She was from Kerala. And another friend of mine who was half Chinese and half Indian. We became best friends. She was my bridal party. She introduced me to watching Bollywood films and the food, and that opened the door to me falling in love and meeting my husband. So I keep saying to people, literally never say never. It's so wild that I went from being someone who was very racist towards like Indian people and culture to being probably the biggest champions, to loving the culture, embracing it, eating their food, cooking their food.
I think it's important to note that Venus is Indian.
Correct. Thank you. I should have mentioned that. But yeah, yes. To be fair, you know, by the time I really was getting to know him, I'd gotten over the whole thing. But I never pictured I was going to meet and fall in love with an Indian person. And I always say, like, you know, God has a sense of humor. God was like, you know what? I see this in you. You gotta work on that. And I'm really grateful. I'm grateful I had that change. I think about so many friends that I have. So many people I would consider part of my extended family who, when I think about, I would not associate with when I was younger, to like embracing me and having me a part of their community, and for me to do everything I can to support them.
Yeah, you'd have really missed out had you not gone through that transformation and been open. Well, thanks, Karen. To our listeners, we'd love to hear from you. How has this mindset of take what you like and leave the rest played a role in your life?
And please send us your thoughts, your stories, and your reflections. Your insight might just inspire someone else in their journey.
Thank you for joining us on the Monomyth Diaries. If this episode resonates with you or someone you know, we'd love for you to share it and spread the inspiration.
Don't forget to follow us wherever you get your podcasts or on YouTube to stay connected.
We'd appreciate it if you could take a moment and rate and review the podcast. It helps us reach more people with stories of transformation and growth.
You can visit us at monomythdiaries.com or text us directly from the show notes to reach out and keep the conversations going.
Until next time, heroes, let's journey together through our monomyths.